Look closely. It's easy to see just stones, isn't it? The ghosts of a forgotten world. But this is not a graveyard. This is a seedbed. Before the idea of nations, before the maps of our modern world were ever drawn, there was Rome. Not just a city, not even just an empire. Rome was a promise, an audacious, terrifying, beautiful promise, that humanity could build something eternal, something that could touch the heavens. They were a people born from myth and suckled by a she-wolf, or so they told themselves, a story to explain the fire in their veins. A small tribe on a muddy riverbank, surrounded by enemies, who decided they would not just survive. They would master the world. And how did they do it? Not with magic, but with iron, discipline, and a belief that was terrifying in its simplicity. Roma Invicta, Rome unconquered. This was the Legion, the heartbeat of Rome made of leather, sweat, and steel. It wasn't just an army, it was a machine for forging empire. 120 men in a century, 60 centuries in a legion, an iron fist that hammered the world into a new shape. A boy from a farm in Tuscany could find himself marching under the scorching sun of Syria, or freezing in the misty forests of Germania. He left as a boy, but the legion would send him back a man, or not at all. He fought not just for a wage, or for a distant faceless emperor. He fought for the man to his left, and the man to his right. He fought for the eagle, the sacred standard that held the very soul of his legion. To lose it was to lose everything. But Rome was more than its armies. It was an idea, hammered out in halls like this. The idea was the Republic. Senatus Populusque Romanus, the Senate and the people of Rome. A radical notion that power shouldn't belong to a king but be shared. Of course, the sharing was never quite equal. It was a constant struggle, a brawl between the rich and the poor, the powerful and the voiceless. But in that struggle, they forged something that would echo for eternity. Law. The idea that there are rules, that no one, not even the most powerful, is above them. The idea that a citizen has rights. We live in the shadow of that idea to this day. We just take it for granted. And when the fighting stopped, they built. My God, did they build. They built a peace so profound, so lasting, they called it the Pax Romana, the Roman peace, and they stitched it together with stone. They moved mountains, they rerouted rivers, they built cities in the middle of deserts and brought fresh water to them with these stone arteries, aqueducts, monuments not to a god or a general, but to a very simple, very human need, thirst. They built roads so straight and so true that some are still used today. All roads led to Rome, they said. But it was more than that. The roads led from Rome. They carried not just soldiers and tax collectors, but ideas, language, culture, a new way of being human. For the first time, a merchant in Britain could drink wine from a vineyard in Egypt and feel he was part of the same world. But no peace lasts forever. An empire, like a man, grows old. The borders were too long. The enemies, too many. The fire that had forged the empire began to cool. The men on this wall, shivering in the northern fog, no longer felt the sun of Rome on their faces. They were just trying to hold the line, trying to keep the darkness out. The rot started from within. Emperors became tyrants. The rich grew decadent. The people distracted by bread and bloody circuses. The old virtues, duty, honor, sacrifice, became punchlines in a cynical world. The machine began to break down. And in the shadows, a new idea was growing. A faith born in an obscure corner of the empire. A story of a carpenter from Nazareth. It offered hope not in this life, but in the next. It spoke to the slave, the poor, the forgotten. To a dying empire, it promised eternal life. It was a fire that would outlast the eagle. In the year 410, the unthinkable happened. Barbarians sacked the city of Rome. The eternal city fell. The shockwave from that event shattered the world. For 1,000 years, they would look back on this moment as the day the light went out. But did it? An empire of stone and steel can fall. Its legions can turn to dust. But an idea is harder to kill. Their language lives on in ours. Their laws are the foundation of our own. Their engineering still stands against the sky. Their story of breathtaking ambition and tragic failure is the story of us. They reached for eternity and fell short, but in the reaching, they lifted the world and left behind an echo that whispers to us even now from across the centuries, a whisper of what we once were and what we might, just might, be again.